How's it, Paul? Nice to chat to you again. Today we want to unpack the 100 billion rand transformation fund from government. I want to ask you just a little bit of background as to how this thing came about, what it is about, and how it's going to work.
It was postulated by Parks Tau as a more effective method of using enterprise and supply development funds because, again, it's electioneering, trying to appeal to the black middle class that the ANC has largely lost. So he puts out a document which is very short on detail, saying that this is the initial one. The article says there's another document and it's got more detail, but it says that the initial document said, well, we'll manage it, but we'll do it in the form of a type of public-private partnership with with some sort of asset manager or fund manager or something like that. And the immediate reaction from probably everybody is, yes, this is going to go out to tender, and someone who used to farm mealies out in the Free State with absolutely no experience in managing funds but can run a farm is now suddenly going to be the one to distribute the money. He's come back and said, we're going to manage this. It's going to be a combination of private sector on the board and government, and the governance will be a lot better. But we're only going to give you the enterprise and supply development points. Alan, not Craig, thank you very much for your suggestion, but we reject it. So that's what they want.
So if you look at it, essentially it comes to a incubator of sorts under enterprise and supplier development, of which in South Africa we've got a number of those that are obviously privately managed. Is this a competition to those guys, or is it something where the money will potentially be funneled through to some of these ESD environments that already exist?
It would be a good idea, a better idea if you did it that way. One that always comes to mind is Race Corp. I've known Alon Race for many, 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 many years, and he doesn't mess around. He only takes businesses that are going to succeed. He does take enterprise supply development money anyway and does a good job because that's just what he does. So it would be a good idea to use them. Again, it's sparse on detail. So one thing I'd like to say about that article, it was written by Carol Payton, who is in all probability the finest financial journalist in South Africa. So it's an article, it's on News 24. It's an article that's really, really well worth reading. And it's quite short, which is unlike anything that Carol Payton normally writes. So she writes a very balanced thing. The problem is trust. It's all about trust. It's all about trust. And the other issue, I know maybe you're going to ask this question, but they say that something like 61% of this, and these stats are coming from the BE Commission. And where are the BE Commission getting their stats from? They're only getting it from listed companies. Because if you're a listed company, you have to submit a report every single year.
No.
And that's where they're getting it. I have my doubts whether they're phoning up other companies. You get huge non-listed companies that are much bigger than listed companies that they aren't talking to. So that's where they're getting their stats from. But they're not understanding that they say only 61%. Let me just read what she says about the 61%. She says the DTIC argues the money spent on ESD has not been used optimally. Research by the BE Commission indicates only 61% of companies are meeting their ESD targets. Now, 61% are meeting their ESD targets. How are they gauging that information? Okay. And they're gauging the information because they're looking at the scorecards. They're looking at the results that come from the scorecards. They say only a similar percentage has a clear ESD strategy. I'm not sure how they got that information. Some 22% of firms had no idea of the impact of their programs. That 22%, and possibly a large percentage of the 61%, are making contributions because they're doing it expediently. Some might be making contributions to allied companies and taking the money back. We have absolutely no idea what this is doing. The reality is, the truth is that the private sector has had enough of this because they make a contribution, they do it in good faith, they do all the right things, and then they get these kinds of the publications saying only 61% of you are complying. It's just like they've had enough. They don't understand the appetite for BEE in the private sector. So this fund, well, Carol Payton very accurately writes it's not going to get to 100 billion. It's a voluntary fund. They're trying to make it slightly more convenient. They say when you contribute, you get the points automatically. Well, but when you contribute, you get the points automatically anyway. What they're probably saying is you don't need a multitude of documents and all that kind of stuff. But you and I can slap those documents out in a couple of minutes anyway. There's no incentive. There's no incentive. There's no trust. They're going to get some really, really nice compliant private sector people. They're going to have to put white faces on there as well, because then there's kind of like, I'm doing it, aren't you? Why don't you do it? It's pie in the sky stuff. It's a waste of money. But Alan Knott Craig Jr. has effectively been told that he can take his notion and say and thank the press for the publicity, but no, thank you. We're not going to take it anywhere else.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that quickly. Initially, my understanding was that you contribute to this fund to whatever percentage and you get a specific level. But now they very clearly state that you contribute and you get points on the scorecard for ESD purposes. So it's actually a little bit different in that you still have to do all the other things. You still have to do skills and management control and your ownership and all of those things. And then your contribution to ESD is just channeled somewhere else. So is it really a benefit? Is there anything that private sector gains here? Because I don't see it.
Yeah, well, actually, I think that what's happened is that the Alan Knott Craig Jr., we'll just refer to him as Junior from now on, has muddied the waters a bit, because he's saying make the contribution get to a level 3. This was never about that. It was only ever about enterprise supply development contributions, and every single employment equity equivalent program needs to go into that. But I don't know what the uptake of equity equivalent programs are at the moment. Elon Musk has muddied the waters a bit in terms of equity equivalent programs. And the fact is that these companies, these multinationals, are still trading without the equity equivalent programs. They're getting by. So why on earth would they want to do it now? It's too late. So they say they've closed the barn door, but the horse has already gone 3 times around Turffontein track, and it's not coming back. It's just nonsense.
Yeah, very good. I think, Paul, we don't have all the detail at the moment. We don't have the documents to read through. I think it's an article based on information that the government gave out, but not necessarily the full documents. And only potentially after public comments, public opinion came in, and they revised whatever they've written up at the moment, would we be able to understand fully how this thing is going to work. To me, it's quite clear that they are pushing ahead. They are going to do it. Whatever the success rate of that would be, I don't know. And that largely depends on us as the private sector to contribute towards. But it doesn't seem like it's not going to happen. It looks like they're going to push ahead and it will happen. And I think as soon as we have those documents, we might be able to do another quick session and unpack what's really going to happen from their point of view. And then private sector can decide, are we going to take part or not?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. My gut feel is don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't waste your time. They probably will persuade some large company to invest its money in there, but I think that's going to be a hard persuasion, because a lot of those really, really big mining companies, for instance, have got their own programs. Why would they want to do it there? What? Add in a tax incentive and you've got something going. But just trying to Rob Davies this thing by saying you'll get points, forget it. It didn't work. What happened with bursaries under skills development? Absolute failure.
Good. Thanks, Paul. Let's cut it off there and have another chat on another topic at some stage.
Be good.